Look, you can't just jump into a campaign right off the bat. What was that? I'm sorry. You thought you could? Buddy, have you thought about your players? Have you thought about what they wanted? Sit down. Got a paper and pencil? Because it's time for Session 0 on Session Zeros. Hello, Dungeoneers, and welcome to D&D with me, your one-stop shop for me, your DM, Peter. Half price this week, so get it while it's hot, or mildly lukewarm. Before writing your next big epic campaign, you should probably sit down with your players to see what they would like to play. This is where we introduce something called a Session 0. Now, what is it exactly? Well, it's the session before 1, obviously. A Session 0 is going to be when you sit down with the players you're going to be playing with to figure out what everyone at the table wants to play, not just what you want to play. I like to think of it as a meeting where people can come together in agreement on what they want to play. This helps the DM and the players set up a guide to make the game enjoyable for everyone. Because that's the point of D&D. Everyone's supposed to be having fun. Even the edgy rogue. I see you sitting in the corner there. You're sulking. You want to stab someone. You're a murder hobo. It's okay. Listen. Just find a group that does that. So how do we craft the questions needed for a Session 0? I break them down in the next little bit. Let's go. Let's start off with campaign style. Is it going to be a long campaign? A short campaign? Seemingly endless? This helps the DM set up the idea for the campaign and how long the big story arc or story arcs should be. Now, what type of game is this? Is this a sandbox? Is this a railroad? Maybe don't railroad. Watch my video above. Is it a dark fantasy? Is it high fantasy? These are the things you're going to want to agree upon with your players before even putting pen to paper or finger to keyboard. If you want to play a dark fantasy, but your players want to play a high fantasy, then maybe this isn't the group for you. Or you guys can come to an agreement. Really, this is what a Session 0 is about. What are the players looking to do? What are you looking to do? Sorry, that was aggressive. But really, what are you guys looking to do? Do you want to role play? Do you want to dungeon delve? Do you want to solve puzzles? Are you looking for combat? Are you a group of murder hobos? It can be a variety of things. You can mix role playing in with combat if that's what they're looking for, or puzzle making with dungeon delving. Once again, figuring out what the campaign style is going to be really sets the tone, well, for the whole campaign. Next up, experience. How is experience gained? Are you doing milestone leveling? Which is in the DMG under page 61. And what is milestone leveling? Well, shall we? You can also award XP when characters complete significant milestones. When preparing your adventure, designate certain events or challenges as milestones with the following examples. Accomplishing one in a series of goals necessary to completing the adventure. Discovering a hidden location or piece of information relevant to the adventure, or reaching an important destination. Before we go any further, that is my preference. I like milestone level. You can also earn XP as every fight goes on, or as every challenge gets completed. I find this to be a little bit more of a headache because the players, but let's be honest, you need to track the XP. I started with that in my first campaign, and I quickly changed it because I hated it. And lastly, in the experience column, how do you level? Do you level after a long rest? Do you level at the end of the session? Honestly, I prefer to have my players level when the session closes so we can all sit together and make sure we're picking the right hit points. I do also expect them to be leveled up for the next session. Homebrew. Are you allowing players to create races and classes that aren't in the player's handbook or in any of the other supplements? Think about that, because that's going to require you going over the other races and the other classes to making sure they're not too OP. How are some spells handled? For instance, a lot of bards prefer to use counterspell as a reaction and not an action readied. Are you going to be allowing the players not to expend spell slots outside of combat if they don't cause damage? Or are you going to be tracking that like a hawk? These are the things that you need to know that aren't actually in the player's handbook or the raw rules. You can also talk about, is this going to be in Faerun? Is this going to be in any of the other supplements such as Wildmount, Tal'Dorei, Eberron, or is this going to be in your own homebrew world? You need to set that out within the homebrew worlds and also the setting. At the end of the day, are you introducing any rules that are not within the player's handbook or the raw rules that your players need to know? Table rules. Now this is an interesting one. How are you handling absences? Are you going to be Jaeger piloting a character? Are you going to have them mystically disappear? Figure that out at the table. Personally, I like to have them go run an errand or get left behind in a dungeon while they were doing something else. Do you allow distractions at the table? I'm going to be very honest here. When I first started DMing, I was really strict with distractions at the table to the point where I was almost a dick. And now I feel bad about that. I have a dog. My other friends have dogs. Sometimes we're at everyone's houses where there are other dogs. There's going to be distractions because these cute, lovable little bastards are going to be there. I mean, how can you say no to this, huh? You're going to want to figure out if you're going to allow these distractions at the table. Are you going to allow phones and laptops at the table? Sometimes people get distracted and go on their phones looking at Facebook or Instagram. Follow me at DNDWme if you're there. Another big one, are you going to allow people to drink at the table? I know some people are sticklers and don't allow that. I do allow drinking. It's whatever, it's a social gathering, you're with friends, so you might as well enjoy yourself. But some people don't, and that's okay. It's up to you. Another note is character creation. Are you allowing feats? Once again, are you going to be allowing races and classes outside of the player handbook and all the other supplements? What level is everyone starting at? Are they starting at level 1? Or are you going to put them a little higher? Now that I've played D&D for a while, I prefer to have my players start at a higher level. It just kind of gets you out of that toddler learning my class phase, and the cool stuff really happens around the 3rd and 4th level, let's be honest. So now I start my campaigns off at the 3rd level or 2nd level, depending how I feel that day. And lastly, your players are going to die at one point. Not by your hand, or maybe by your hand, maybe by their own stupidity, but yeah, they'll die. Wow. Where's my Oscar? I actually teared up there. How are you handling death? Is it your character's done, they can't come back? Or can they be resurrected? I like to have a general idea of what players want to do when it comes to death, but to be honest, when it happens, you might go back and they might change their ideas. They might be like, no, I'm attached to the character now. I want to bring them back. But in the session 0, it's good to know where they're kind of heading with that. But Dungeoneers, that's it from me. I want to give a shout out to the Session 0 thread over at Reddit. It's an older one and it is gigantic. I want to put it in the comments below. Please check it out because the amount of work that goes into that was fantastic, and it helped me with my research and realize that maybe I need to improve my Session 0s. And do you have anything out of the ordinary that you add into your Session 0 campaigns? Let me know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. And you can always find me on Instagram at DNDWme. We recently started a game hook ad lib on my Instagram story where 99% of the people just decided to put that they woke up naked, so thanks for that. Anyways, that's it from me.